Only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second installment of AEM Achieve. My name is Mike Coffey with American Equity Mortgage. I'm Vice President of Sales. Today's presentation on Follow the Lead will begin in just a minute. All of you are currently in the listen-only mode. However, you will be able to ask questions if you have them by typing them into the text box located on the webinar control panel. There's a little box there at the bottom. At the end of the session, time permitting, we'll get Jeff to respond to as many questions as possible and possibly stay on longer if we have a lot of questions. Since our first event last month, I've been asked a lot of questions from realtors in terms of why we're doing this. At American Equity, we have the pleasure of really partnering with a lot of realtors and realtor groups across the nation, and we wanted to create a platform that gives back to our realtor partners. Our goal is to provide you with tools and resources and training to help you grow your business. We're not trying to sell you anything, and I think some people may have been waiting for a pitch, but if you should ever find yourself out in the cold and looking for a really good lender to work with, we hope you'll think of American Equity. With that, we plan on delivering events on a monthly basis. I hope you will enjoy joining us every month because we're going to have new materials. Towards the end of the session, I'll share with you what we're going to be doing next month. We've got a great event planned as usual, and we will also make recordings available of all of our events. With that, let me introduce today's speaker, Jeff Law. Jeff was our inaugural speaker last month, and we received rave reviews on the session on DNA, building your online reputation. We can also make that recording available to you if you happen to miss it. Jeff is the founder and CEO of Spark Tank Media, a consulting firm specializing in real estate technology, productivity, and mobile strategies. Jeff is a renowned speaker, trainer, and coach, and the former vice president of technology and innovation at Exit Realty International. He has been a realtor for more than 2 decades, been a top producer, a broker owner, and has extensive experience in mobile tech and internet with both startups and Fortune 500 companies. Jeff knows real estate and technology inside and out from the ground up. As we all know, technology is changing the way we communicate and the way we do business. The thing I really like about the way Jeff teaches is that he simplifies it so that even the most non-technical individuals can understand it. So with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Jeff Law. Jeff?
Hey, Mike, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I know we got a lot of time zones here. I'm looking at some of the attendees. We've got people from East Coast, West Coast, North America, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's a great turnout. Considering August, it is that time of year for vacations, but this is a great topic, and I'm glad it's being recorded because I think a lot of people will want to hear this or maybe use it for sessions following what we do today. Hopefully the technology cooperates with us and audio, but we're going to talk about follow the lead. And with follow the lead, I want you to understand what the topic's going to be about is no matter where I travel, when I talk to agents, brokers, coaching, training events, whatever they might be, when I ask the audience at large saying, hey, what would you like more of? What do you want? What would you like to see happen differently? And a lot of agents constantly say they want more leads. It's always more leads. And that's not bad because there's tremendous lead gen systems out there today. There's, everywhere from your portals to your lead gen management companies to simply buying zip codes. And even just regular leads that are happening from FSBOs, open houses, and what other way we generate leads. And I have to step back for a second, and I always like to be a little bit ahead of the curve and try and say, great, you've got all these leads, and there's great systems out there. But my question is going to be is you want more, but what are you doing with the ones you have? And look, I've been in real estate shoes for years too, and you think you work them, you think you've exhausted them, you mark them hot, you mark them cold, you kind of work through people. But at the end of the day, internet leads are so different than what we've ever been used to. And I think I'm going to share with you some really good ideas on ways to kind of reel them back in, some cool marketing ways to bring them back at some point, and just a thought process of where you're losing money. Because if I had to guess, I think there's a lot of money being lost, both at the brokerage level and at the agent level. So we're going to talk about lead conversion, not just lead generation, lead conversion. How do I do more with what I have and generate a better return on my invested dollar? That's where I want to go. I'm going to show you a ton of different stats. And no matter what, all the stats are going to reel back to the same exact information. There's no way you can not get the picture by the time I'm done. So, these are recorded. Feel free to jot them down, but these will be live for you to have at another point. So let's just go over some of them from the major people that have done the studies, whether it's Realtor.com or the Association of Realtors in California. First of all, the percentage of business generated by a realtor's website. And this may be shocking to some, but a personal real estate website is very difficult to compete in today's environment. You still need it. It's necessary for sure. It's a destination site, but obviously trying to compete with the Zillows and Trulias and the market leaders and the Boomtowns and the OnJaxes and all these lead gen companies, besides pay-per-click and Google, you're competing a lot. So the agent website, if you have it, you're trying to get the most value out of it. But if you looked at what's the percentage of business being generated by it, most people are saying that less than 25% is the majority. 50, it's just not generating a ton. So you're going to see some results towards the end of the session. I kind of saved some of the best for last, but we're going to show you what to do with when you get people to your actual website, what to do with them to get them to come back. So that's going to be an exciting stat, but here's something you have to look. If you're not getting leads from your website, you better be getting them from somewhere else, because guess what? Someone else is getting them, most likely your competition. So it's not the end all to your website. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a quick poll. I want your honest opinion. Look, you're sitting by yourselves or maybe with a few others. I want your honest opinion here. Let me give a second here to launch this first poll. And if I looked at every one of your leads, every new lead, I want to know how quickly do you really respond. Okay, I'm going to launch it right now. Here we go. Okay, poll's launched. I want really respond. Look at C and D before you answer. Because a lot of times we're on listing appointments, we're out with buyers, things are happening. And look, you can just you tell the truth, we can come up with better solutions. Because I do know what it's like to run in the shoes of what you do. And I'm looking at the results, and it's kind of falling in line where I was thinking. Actually, one number surprising me a little bit. I'll give it another 10 seconds or so, and I'll share with you the results. Interesting. Yeah, see? Well, I can tell you're being honest. That's for sure. I got about 60% of you voted. The rest of you still just being shy. Come on, let's go. Last 2 seconds. I'm going to close it out. All the numbers look pretty much the same either way. Got a pretty good percent of you that voted. Okay, here's what we got. Actually, 12% of you said return 3 minutes every time. Now, while I certainly respect that, you have to understand that's really hard to do. It's almost, I don't want to use the word impossible, but let's face it, there are things we have a life beyond what we do for a living. 4% of you said within 3 minutes sometimes. 4%, I'll buy that. 37% says sometimes, but I'm busy, and it's more like 5 to 10 minutes, maybe plus or minus. That's probably more realistic than most. That's 37%. And 51%, more than half. Longer sometimes, but I always get back to them. Okay, so we're going to address those issues. So real quick, 12%, 3 minutes every time. 4%, sometimes. 37%, sometimes I'm busy, but more like 5 to 10 minutes. More than half, usually longer. Okay, knowing that, keep those numbers in mind. Let's move forward on this. First of all, I want to make a statement that says, if you are acquiring leads from anywhere, I'm talking, I don't care how simple or how new of an agent you are or how veteran of an agent you are. If you do not have a system to properly manage them, you're throwing money out the window. Now, when I say a system, I don't mean sticky notes like I used to have back in my day, and I'd lose more business behind my desk when they'd fall back there. You need a system like a top producer. Like I'm going to show you a couple different ones that I share with you. Something where you're putting them in, not just to see them. I'm not talking Outlook or email or a spreadsheet, even though at least if you had a spreadsheet versus nothing, it's still better than nothing. But you're missing what's available today as tools. And look, at the end of the day, I say you're throwing away money. If I actually showed you the money you're throwing away and gave it to you in real dollars, you'd be upset. Just thinking about it, it's not real. The money's not in your hand and taking it away. It just sounds like I'm losing money, but you really don't know how much. So with that in mind, I want you to understand, let's look at some of the time frames and the way people select agents so you understand your response to that poll. So what is the most crucial thing in selecting an agent from a lead coming in the door? Now, you have to understand this. When an internet lead comes in, no disrespect to any of us as realtors, but no one cares how qualified we are at that point. No one cares really how knowledgeable we are at that point. What do they really want? The top three answers are real obvious. It's the most responsive, the most aggressive, and the first one to get back to me. Why? Because they don't care about us right now. They just simply care about what they want. They want a house. Short story, this past week, someone that I know, and I'm not going to be specific, someone that I know going through a situation in life has been calling realtor after realtor after realtor until they get the answer they want. And one particular realtor said, hey, do you happen to know this person? And I said, I do. Well, they've called me, they've called the listing agent, they've called this one. And I know this person. I got to get on the phone and reel them in a little bit and say, what are you doing? Can you just stop and work with one professional? This is how we make our living. But unfortunately, when they're on a roll and they're ready, unfortunately, loyalty goes out the window. So back in the days when we taught, hey, we're going to time block a little bit. Between 3 and 5 o'clock, I'm doing paperwork. Don't disturb me. My door's closed. With all due respect, if a lead comes in during that time frame, most likely you've got a shot at losing it because they want responsiveness. Just the facts of how consumers are. Think about how impatient you are sometimes. I know how I am. Now, how quickly do real estate consumers expect a response? What are their expectations? And you might say, well, that's crazy when I show you. But look, it's the way the business changed. It's not me. Expectations. Who wants a response instantly? Almost 40% do. What's actual? 10, maybe. Instantly. 30 minutes. 20%. Expected. Reality? I don't know, 10, 12. As you could see, within an hour. Now look when it gets to 2 hours. What's expected? Very little, but us, we think that's actual. We go upside down beyond 2 hours. Where's the consumer? Instantly, and within 30 minutes is still too long in my opinion. But look, you still got to get back to them. So, but look at the shift that's happening, and we have to understand that, yes, we're busy. So you have to either have a system to help you or people to help you so you don't lose these deals. Your choice. It's your business. Let them fly out the window or find a system or other people to help you. One of the last sets of data, I got some good data just to make sure I reinforce the point. Reasons for dissatisfaction with an agent on incoming leads. Slow response. There it is again. 82%. They're upset. Ineffective communication. 48%. Undesirable communication methods. If someone calls you and you text them back sometimes, maybe that's not what they prefer. If they email you and you decide you're going to, either respond differently to them, maybe they weren't ready to talk to you then. So you have to understand it's undesirable. You have to mirror the way they want to be communicated with. Sometimes, once you learn how they want to communicate, in the beginning, you don't know. But once you understand that method, you have to follow it. And then not aggressive in negotiation. That's something I think that's very opinionated there because obviously they may be blaming us for not negotiating hard enough when maybe another offer outbidded them and something we couldn't control. You might know how that goes. And then showed homes unlikely to buy, very, very small. Top, slow response. Response time's everything. All right, now let's not forget about the MIT study that they did. MIT did a response management study a while back. Maybe you've seen these stats too, but I'm going to reinforce them. The odds of contacting a lead if called within 5 minutes versus 30 is 100 times greater. The odds of qualifying the lead increased 21 times within 5 minutes. And most of the people will work with the first person they actually talk to that has a conversation with. So while that sounds crazy, you think about it is they're on these websites, they're on portals, they got 15 minutes on break, they're clicking and dialing, and they're going to dial until they get someone to give them an answer. And that's why sometimes we as agents get frustrated when they're asking you questions about 5 other listings that aren't yours, and we don't know the answers right off the top of our head. They actually expect us to know that. Well, why don't you understand how many bedrooms or baths there are? I don't even know what house we're talking about yet. I've got to look it up. So we can't actually give away that whole I don't know bit. We've got to actually have the right scripts and dialogue that says, you know what, let me take the 3 or 4 that you want, and let me get all the information for you. Never, ever, and I've heard this many times on the phone, agents just clearly say, I don't even know, that's not my listing, but I'll look it up for you. No, don't tell them that. All the properties we have available are able to be shown. Give me the 3 or 4. Let me get all of the details for you so I can give you an educated answer, and let me get either right back to you or I'll send it to you by email. But we give away the cart sometimes too much by when they put pressure on us for answers and we don't have them, because 95% of the time it may not be our listing. They're calling from an IDX site. And unfortunately, that's what happens. So think about what you say. They assume we know everything about all homes. That's what they think. So give them what they want. Information on all homes. All right, so be prepared. And that's why your mobile device needs to be popping out of your pocket on the road, is pulling up data on the fly. So here's that clarification again. The first agent to respond with a phone call has the best chance to convert the lead to an appointment. So obviously getting a text alert, follow-up phone calls, and 2-minute response, best chance to get the appointment and convert them. I still have people that have said they have not gotten phone calls back from internet leads. They've left emails, no response. I'm just shocked. I even had someone tell me the other day in a meeting that said that there have been at least 5 to 7 open houses recently where not one of these buyers have gotten a phone call back after any of the open houses. It makes you think then, yet I go in and I say, what do you want more of? I want more leads. Really? What have you done with the ones you've gotten? Well, they're not real leads. They were just tire kicking. They're this, they're that. I promise you there's money going through the grate. We're missing it. So certainly last but not least, these were from, again, MIT. MIT did a couple different studies. I want to show you a second, third, fourth paragraph down, I think it is, where it's in gray. 74% of buyers and 76% of sellers will work with the first agent they talk to. There it is from National Association of Realtors. First person they talk to, not that emails them back, not that. So the quicker you can get to them, and I'm going to show you some solutions that if you can't actually talk to them, what to do, because you still have to do something. And I think you need to have systems in place. You need to have something. So systems be told. Now there's a lot of different systems, of course. I can only talk about a few that are solutions. And I want to put a big shout out to Valerie for tweeting her heart out today. She is just on fire, pushing the stuff on social. So thank you and kudos, Valerie. If you're not following stuff on Twitter, Valerie Garcia, follow her. She's really doing a great job pushing content out today on this session. So thank you. So let's go back to systems. May not be for everybody. You may have a choice of your own. I can only talk about one or two in a few minutes here. But a company like A Better Voicemail, it's a system that can auto respond and give customers options. If you cannot talk to them, what other choice is there? It's either just wait for more time till you can get ready, or at least give them something that shows there's a pulse and you're alive. So a Better Voicemail is a lead management system. It's kind of like having a phone system in your office, like a PBX system in your smartphone. It has all of those functionalities. So a good example of how I might have something is they call, and let's say I'm not available. It can automatically respond back to them with a text message. They could push 1 for this property or 2 for that property. It might say, if you'd like some more information about this or that, press 1 or 2. And it's got that automated sense to it where it'll give them what they want, but also I can have it programmed to auto respond back to them with, hey, thanks for calling. Sorry, not available, but listen, what's the best time I can reach you? I should be done shortly. And it's that automatic response to show something. So I think we need to start to leverage our mobile devices better and start to have systems built for at least responding and better routing and functionality since they're built into it. Just to give you some snapshots, if you're looking on a bigger scale, I use Better Voicemail on a couple different ways, but yes, it transcribes my voicemail like Google Voice. And to be honest, there's no perfect system in transcription. It's good. I can use different phone numbers with Better Voicemail. I can integrate it to my contact management system. I could save all my voicemails on the cloud. All these other features. I could transfer calls and have dynamic routing to my team. So if I want to hand off something, I could patch it through. So it gives me that functionality as if I were sitting at the front desk of a larger office, except I have that functionality on my mobile device. But the auto responding is something very nice to have triggered back to anybody for that matter. If you're calling about one of my listings, maybe you could have listing information about how to show, all sorts of stuff built in to the software built in the cloud. Another couple of cool ways people are using it, just something we've been testing, is you can literally run your office. These are just some screenshots from an office I work with. And you could have your own phone system powered by this. Why have the overhead of a big closet full of wires and gear anymore when I could route calls, have as many extensions as I want, and route data through the phone system? Because at the same time, how many people are really using physical office phones in an office nowadays? You could have these set up throughout your office and run it from a brokerage standpoint. If you guys have any questions about details of this on a bigger scale, just email me afterwards, and I'll be happy to share with you some solutions and talk to you about some other ways to handle that. But it also stores everything in a dashboard for you, so all your stuff is cloud-based. You don't have to worry about being stuck on a device. And you want to make sure that you're leveraging that mobile for all of your customer base for responsiveness. Now, you have another option, or there are other options, is when you get a lead. Again, I ask you, what do you do with it? And, you know, I have 3 words here, but that's really what has to happen. You got to manage them, nurture them, convert them. The biggest word is convert them, because we don't have enough discipline to manage leads without a system for 6, 8, 9 months, a year and a half later. But let's face it, anybody who's a trainer in this business or in this business teaching, it's called a funnel. If you don't have a funnel of future business, you know, if you're worrying about your next 5 deals and you're hopefully in the next month, you're not even sure what you got coming, there is no funnel. To stay alive and be super productive, you need business 3 months out, 8 months out. Sometimes you will not know what's happening 8 months out. But if you don't have a pool of leads nurturing, it's very unlikely you're going to have a big enough pool to convert and close. So a big funnel by managing leads, and most internet leads need time to cure. I personally don't have enough discipline in my life to do it without a system. So we're just too busy to do that stuff. So here's another option for you. Just again, one of several, one that I happen to like, 5 Street. 5 Street is another online lead conversion platform solving the problem of what do I do with my leads. Now, this is both an agent product, a broker product, and at the end of the day, it's a system that you're going to be able to use for all of your stuff in one place. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the features of it, not to get too caught up in it, but obviously linking to Gmail is important for many. You get a separate 5 Street address. Here's what I like about it. It has 2 things that are important: an automatic email autoresponder, and an automatic text message responder that's built in for any lead that comes in immediately. You can have that set up. I will show you that they do cooperate and pull in leads from many other resources and vendors. I'll show you a list of them shortly. But you can use it for a team scenario. You could broadcast leads in a style that the way you want to route leads. It's mobile friendly. You got good stats. You can export everything if you want them out of here, if you want them out of here. And it's a good collaboration tool for all. Now, I'm not just talking internet leads. You're for sale by owners. You had someone walk in the door. What do I do with it? Still put it in one place. Here's a list on the left-hand side of integrations, meaning if I happen to be a Zillow, Trulia, Boomtown, Home Finder, I'm just going down the list of some, Point Two Agent, Movoto, they have integrations built in where when I get a lead from any one of these, and there's probably more added to this list by now, any one of these, I get a lead, it can automatically directly pipe into my 5 Street account. So I could pull leads in from all of these resources so I don't have to chase multiple systems. If you use MailChimp or BombBomb, which is one of my favorite, Contactually, Top Producer, they also have integrations that can work together and seamlessly with this platform. So really slick idea to manage leads, knowing it's a big problem, and most real estate agents don't have a good enough system. So even if you use, just the basics of this, it'll keep you on track for future business. And I love the fact that they integrate with all of those other platforms. So all those leads directly route into my system, no chasing down. A couple quick snapshots. I had to do some whiting out of some people, but these are some real live screens showing you how many leads came in, what their lead source looks like, gives you name, Gmail address, when the lead came in, if it's new or not, if it's been assigned or not. This is more from like a management dashboard. But I want to show you something really cool. When it does come in, this happens to be, say, from Zillow. It comes in and whatever they inquired about, it'll actually pull up the data, the Google map of the place, the message that they sent, obviously all of their information, name, email, phone number. Now check this out. It'll pull up the MLS information, so I don't even have to go to the MLS. It'll pull up the MLS data with the address and the MLS information in basic format, and obviously highlighting the direct contact. Now also it gives me a quick forward lead. If I'm busy and I get this lead now and I'm sitting on the beach on vacation, I don't want to lose that 3-minute window. So what can I do? Quickly right from here, forward this lead now. Give it to somebody that's handling my business that wants a lead that can service it now. That's where you are able to solve that problem, by having that accessibility with one touch of a button. Okay, so real slick. Now, another kind of cool thing I like is their instant customizable responder. So I always ask you the question again: if you cannot be there, look, you're on a listing appointment. You got to focus on the client. Sometimes listing appointments do not want you answering phone calls. I've seen people lose listings because they were distracted by other business. Give them the attention. So what has to happen if you can't be there versus no response? The auto response is pretty slick. And if you customize it the right way, Like here's a quick, if you look at the bottom wording, just says, thanks for your property inquiry. I'm tied up right now, but I or one of my colleagues will give you a call back shortly to answer any questions. What's a good time I can reach out to you? It sounds like I sat there and typed that information, because if you look at the response, hey, thanks, can you call me at 9 o'clock onwards? Or you'll get, hey, thanks for the quick response. Really appreciate it. Call me after 10. They think you're sitting there responding to them now, as if you're in a meeting paying attention to them. So it's at least getting a human response if you customize it properly. And I would use this kind of scripting on any auto texting that you have back. Don't just say, thanks for the property inquiry, I'll be back to you. Make it sound like you're human. I'm in a meeting right now. I can't wait to speak to you about it. What's the best time I could reach you? I'll call you as soon as I'm done. And they think you're doing it. So really make that human when it comes to auto response. Never, ever standardize it. Next, people say, well, Jeff, I've left them a message. I left them 3 messages. I know there's a lot of scripts you can go with. Steve Passanelli from Tech Savvy and he's used this one. I've used it before. There's a lot of different ways you can tweak this one, but here's a real simple one. Remember, curiosity always gets the cat, right? That's what they always say, is curiosity will always win, because people have no tolerance for not knowing. So I just use a simple response. It's always worked for me. Hey, it's Jeff Lobb with XYZ Realty. I'm just calling because I have some really important information about the property you called about on 1515 Mockingbird. It happens to be real important. I know you were looking at the property and I wanted to share it with you as soon as possible. So if you can call me back as soon as you can, I'll be happy to share it. By just saying I have some very important information for you about that property, what does the consumer think? Oh, it just got reduced. Oh, maybe it's getting ready to go under contract and they'll let me know. Or, hey, maybe I could see it tonight. It's available. When consumers are ready to go see something and on a roll, having a curiosity of a question, leaving them hanging may not be a fair thing to do. Let's face it. We hate to hang on anything, but you want a response to talk to them. I'm calling because I have some very important information I wanted to share with you about that property you called about. And be specific, because guess what? They're not even going to remember what property they called on because they've called 20 others. Make sure you tell them about the property located at, boom. Oh, that's the one over in Frankfort Township. I get it. They're not going to remember you or the property sometimes, unless they just only called you in the property, but most are dialing away. So just use the script, see if it works. Share me some feedback when it does. I know it's worked for me and a bunch of others. Not secretive. It's just some way to twist some words around, but I think it's great. All right, so try that for getting a response from the whole, I've left them 3 messages, they're not calling me back. Okay. Now, I think this is the biggest problem. Huge. Now, some of us, again, that don't have a system may not mark anything off. But at the end of the day, classifying them as a dead lead, saying their tire kick in, chalking it off in your contact management, going from hot to cold, we do that way too quickly. And that's because A, we're impatient. B, we don't understand the process of a funnel. So we quickly push them back. What do we do by human nature? Work all the hot ones that we're working, work all the cherry picking stuff that we're working deals with because we want closings. We're working either short sales or we're working high-end properties or luxury homes or whatever it is. And we're focused on that. And then as soon as we put them to cold or dead or warm somewhere or on that sheet of paper at the very bottom, what really happens? If you said it, I read your lips. Nothing. You probably do nothing. Because how often do you go, oh, it's a rainy day, I'm bored. I'm going to go back and call those dead leads. You're not doing that. Who does that? Yet, I promise you, I don't care what you want to call them, dead or not dead. You're marking off too much quickly. You're chalking them off too fast. Here's what happens. What if I asked you this? And I love to do this live because I want to look in your eyes and watch your faces because I know what you're going to do. I just did this yesterday in a meeting. If I asked you and said, okay, you marked them dead and cold, all of your dead end ones you're not going to call back ever. Give them to me. Give them all to me. Whatever I do with them, I'll make the money on it. Don't worry about it. How many of you would really give me those leads? I looked at eyes yesterday. I just did this live. And yesterday I had half the room, 1 or 2 people go, yeah, I'll give them to you. I know they're totally dead. Okay. And I promise you that if I call them and if they don't want to buy something and I ask them for a referral or someone else that might be looking to buy and I get a referral from something else, you're okay with that? Because if I ask the right effective questions, I might also catch them at a different time of day. I might also have a different tone of voice. Sales is all about timing, tonality. Just because you caught them that day and chalked them off doesn't mean they're not ready to talk today. The other thing is, if you're a pretty good aggressive producer, I know you're not going to give me your dead leads because you're thinking you're giving away some money somewhere, but yet you won't call them back yourself. So it's a hard question when you actually have to turn it over to me, because I'll call them. I did a study. Kind of doing some coaching here, and this was great feedback. Part of what I do. We spent some time at a brokerage in Florida. Spent 4 days. They spent 4 days, not me. They did. They spent 4 days with a team calling dead or unconnected leads, saying, okay, give me all your stuff that you dead, chalked off in the lead system that they can see were chalked off as dead. They spent 3 hours per day for 4 days. That's 12 hours. They called about 700 people. And those were the ones that agents were willing to give back. And you know darn well they held back another 30, 40%. They might be warm. They just might be warm. I'll give you these, but these are definitely dead. But these may be warm. They converted 57 new appointments. It's about an 8% conversion. Now, you say, 57 appointments, 700 leads. So if I ask you this, and I want you to think numbers, because I think in numbers, I also think in reality. And when we were just at Agent Reboot in San Francisco, Inman, I did this on stage. And I said to somebody, if I said to you as a brokerage, I got 50, think of your brokerage, think of your whole office, okay, wherever brokerage you're in, if you're the broker, think the whole office. If I converted 57 new appointments in your office, about how many of 57 appointments would actually turn into a sale based on your market? Some people say 10, some people say 15, some 5. Okay, whatever the number is, just take 10. The average deal, let's just say, is $7,000. That's $70,000. And I took a wad of cash out of my pocket. Now, it wasn't $70,000, but let's just talk a wad of cash of $7,000. And I threw it to someone in the audience and said, now, take 10 of those. How does it feel? They're like, feels great. I'm like, no, it doesn't. You just threw them away. You chalked them off as dead. They went to your competition. Hand the money to the guy next to you. Right? That's what it feels like. You don't know until you put the money in your hands. You lost it. You didn't even know you lost it, so it's not real. But what are you doing with the dead leads? Now listen, if I also took a room of people, 30 agents in a room, and I each gave everybody 10 leads, you all have different personalities and different skill sets to convert leads. Some of you are real softies. Some of you don't like to close. Some of you are just warm and fuzzy and don't ever ask for the order. Others don't even ask effective questions. So if I gave you all 10, some of you might convert 2. Some of you might convert 7. Well, what happened to the other 5 that you could have had? Either you weren't trained well enough, good enough to do it, or maybe that's just not your thing and you should not be converting leads. Find someone else to convert them and you could do warm and fuzzy and show them homes with what you do best. So we have to talk about ways to shift leads through. And what do you do, with this concept of all that? So before I move on to the next topic, think about this. Think about having potentially someone in your office that handles lead as a lead manager, that's good at converting, that can respond in 3 minutes and then hand off the lead. And or take some of your dead stuff that you just think is dead and with no ego involved, swap with another person 20 for 20 and say, listen, I can't do nothing with these. You can't do nothing with these. You get anything, pay me 25%. You get anything, 25%. But I bet you'll find a way to generate something out of it that you didn't have anyway. It's kind of found money. So just the concept, work it amongst yourself. Shoot me ideas on what you do because there's still a solution I have to work on and I have ideas for about dead leads getting burnt too quick. So still here working on it. All right. So what do you do now? We talked about your own website. You finally get people to come to it. What do you do with the people who visit your website, looked at your website, searched your website, but never registered and just left? First of all, do you even know who they are? That's like saying, hey, Jeff, I got 1,000 views on YouTube. And I'm like, that's awesome. Except, did you talk to anybody? Well, no one called me. Okay, well, fantastic. So you're going to have a cool video, but you're going to go broke because you got nobody to talk to. So you got this website. When they actually get to your website, they search through it and you got hits and they clicked on houses. Now, maybe you have a lead gen website that captures. I'm with you. But even if you do, what happens if they don't register? What happens if they don't capture and they go elsewhere? Do you even know what happened? First of all, the answer is no. So I have another poll for you. Okay. So question, let me launch this next poll. What do you do with the people who visit your website but never register? I'm going to launch the poll. I have actually 3 answers here. I just launched it now. I have a sophisticated way of tracking. I have no idea they were there. or I can see they were, but I have no way of doing anything with them. So there's 3 different answers here. Wow, look at you guys. Somebody's paying attention here. Look at this. Tremendous amount of response voting. All right, so a few of you have some sophisticated way of tracking. That's good. I'm thankful for that. The majority right now coming in at, I have no idea they were there, because let's face it, most won't. And others I could see they were there, but haven't been able to do anything with them. All right, I'm going to give you another 5 seconds. Last votes. Closed. 19%. I have a sophisticated way of tracking. Good. Do me a favor. At the end, you'll have my email address, or you'll have my social media business card, jlob.com. You can email me, text me, anything you want from that site. Go there and send me a couple ways that you have. What is the sophisticated way you're using to track? Shoot me a quick email, text. I don't care how you want to send it to me. Do that for me so I have some ideas. I'll be happy to share or discuss what you're doing. I like that. I have no idea they were there. 52%. That's a majority. Yet you spent all this money. And here's the kicker. You actually got them to your site. Amongst all the other sites, they were there. And now they're not. So it's like, it's just, were they business? It's just got to kill you. If you could actually see them on your site and then leave, it's like depressing to watch them go. And 30% answered C. I could see they were there, but I don't have any way to really do anything with them. So the majority, 70-something%, 75%. So let's talk about some solutions here, since you already have the site. All right. Have you ever thought about retargeting? Retargeting. Some of you might say, okay, Jeff, English, what's retargeting? Okay, it's simple. You know it, you've seen it, and some of you might be doing retargeting, and that's awesome. I'll give you some ideas. But retargeting, to give you the formal definition, and I'll give you the real. Retargeting is a digital advertising way that allows people that do marketing to serve an ad to a single person after they visited your website. What that means is you went to a shopping portal, you shopped, you didn't buy anything, you left, and you went on to searching, the Weather Channel, or you're on whatever major site you're on. All of a sudden, boom, here's that shopping store again popping up on me. Hey, I was just shopping there 20 minutes ago. Then you're on another website doing something else with your kids, and boom, hey, there's that same freaking store I saw I was shopping on yesterday. It's like it's following me, reminding me that I should have bought the darn thing. That's retargeting. It's an ad that gets served to someone that was already at your site and left. Because what's the odds of, getting them back is the question. So let's think about this a second. What's the likelihood of your website, your personal website, that views you or a listing that comes back a second or third time after they've left? Okay, so launch my third poll. Let's think. What's the likelihood of a visitor that comes back to your site after they've been there and left? Launching. Go for it. Coming down to the end. Whoa. Really? Awesome. Hey, at least I appreciate your honesty. All right. We've got a majority voting. All right. 5 more seconds. The numbers are pretty much in line where I thought. All right, we're going to close it out. Poll is done. All right, so here's the answer. Most of your answers, not mine. 30% pretty much very unlikely. Very unlikely. 61% somewhat likely. Pretty much not. 7% likely. 2% very likely. And that 2% is probably if they're really in love with the house. If they love the home and that's where they saw it, they'll come back for that. But, that's probably the prime reason. But the challenge is when they're gone off your site, you got to think about the amazing amount of competition that's out there. They're going to go find elsewhere and be distracted. So we talked about retargeting for a second. So let me give you another thought. Here's an example of retargeting. What if someone visited your site, and we understand how important video is in our business. Now, we know photos have always been the most powerful thing agents come to. But video is even more important. The problem with video is a lot of us don't do it, or we don't have the skill to do it, or we just, if you do it, it's great. But obviously, video is more powerful than just watching a photo. So good photos, important. Video and good video, even more important. So what if someone came to your site, didn't see what they liked or just searched around, saw some things, and they moved on. And all of a sudden they're on CNN looking at the news, and boom, your ad pops up on the top of CNN. First of all, what would that cost you to have your ad, your brand, your face, you as the agent on CNN? What's the branding opportunity alone worth? Because obviously if I click there, it's driving me back to the page. Or it could be a picture of one of my listings that you looked at and drive me back to my page. But imagine just not even running and click on it. What does someone think from a listing perspective or a buyer that says, wow, there's that Jeff Lobb guy again. He's on freaking CNN, or he's on the Weather Channel, or he's on, how is he on? All the advertising he's doing is amazing. Here's another snapshot of what it looks like. Just another example. Different screenshot of CNN. It's a different view. It's an outside view. This is a company, Willis Allison, just some demos. I'm going to show you another company that's doing it. Teed Hayes. There's lots of people doing it. These are just some screenshots. Whether this is out in San Francisco, out in the California area, and it could be pictures of a room. And when I say video, it doesn't even have to be real live video. I'm going to show you something that the power of this to drive people back to your site after you lost them is such a huge value today, and it's really not being taken advantage of. So let me give you a couple what ifs. What if there was a company that created an ad for you, meaning give them some still photos and they'll do like a Burns effect that comes in and out, or they took a video and actually make a little video ad for you. It followed every customer that visited your site that left, displayed across almost 2 million Google Display Network websites, major websites. What's your reputation like? Could you use it as a broker, as a brand, as an agent, as a top producer? You can use it. What if it was a penny or less for every ad that got served with no setup fees, no design fees, no minimums, and really built and geared around real estate? Meaning I could spend like $50 and get like 5,000 people delivered that have been to my site. I don't even know if I'd have that many people delivered to my website in a month. But if I did, with no monthly cost, no design fees, and no setup fees, and no minimums, I could tell them $1 a day, serve it back, and they're going to hit every Google ad network where my customers came to my site and left, and now I'm going to follow them. And I would even tell customers, go to my website, and then watch what happens a week or two later, a couple days later. My stuff is following them. My reputation about me being bigger than I am in perception will follow them. I think retargeting is fantastic. Video retargeting is even more amazing for real estate because video and visual impact is what we need for showing off houses. So it's not that retargeting is new. It's been around for a long time. You've gotten followed by ads before, and you sometimes wonder how that happens. But at this point, video or some kind of video image looking thing for your listings and for your web presence is a much bigger impact. And there's some, another company that'll do it for you. Happens to be a favorite of mine, Fuel 451. If you want to check out video ad retargeting for real estate and really being unique in your marketplace for low cost. Look, you can spend all the money you want. You could jack it up, but you start and get it impacting. I think it's a phenomenal way to differentiate yourself and use it to convert. We're talking about lead conversion to get them back after they left. It's the only shot you got. All right, so went over a whole bunch of ideas. I know there's some questions out there. What I want to do is recap today for make sure we got our game notes on is make sure you're responsive to call times. I showed you enough data to support that. An auto response system has to happen when you're not available because you're always not going to be available. If you don't have a system to really nurture leads, you're losing money and throwing them out. Recycling your dead leads. You're marking leads dead too quickly and you're ignoring those who are warm over the next 6 to 9 months and retarget them after they visited to get them back to try and convert them a second or third time. All right, so my focus here is before you continue to burn through more leads, let's spend some quality time converting. I have a whole different course, a live course that comes out talking about conversion and details of all this kind of stuff. But I'm sure you have a whole bunch of questions. What I want to do before we get into questions is make sure you got good content out of today and that you know that next month there's another session coming up from a really great guy. I want Mike to jump in real quick. And I'm going to stay on and answer questions, so don't leave us. I see there's a bunch of them. Mike, why don't you talk about next month real quick?
All right, excellent, Jeff. Thank you. Great presentation. Hopefully a lot of people on the phone are taking some notes because I know they spend a lot of money trying to drive leads into their website or to their phones. I know we have a lot of mortgage planners on the call as well, and I'm sure they were taking notes about how they could convert more leads. So really great information, Jeff. I appreciate it. Next month is going to be a great event. We're doing something a little bit different. Mike Weinberg is a best-selling author and sales trainer. He's going to put on a live event. It'll be a web video event that will introduce several top-selling agents from around the country. And Mike is going to be interviewing them and talking to them about what makes their business and building their business so successful. Nobody will want to miss it. Please invite your friends. Again, it'll be a live interactive event. I'm sure it'll be fun, and everybody will take something positive away. He wrote the book, New Sales Simplified. If you don't have that book and you're a salesperson, you need to go get that book. Very relevant topics for anyone in any industry. So please get it. Mark the date down. August 21st, we'll be sending out invites to the event in about a week. It'll be at 2 p.m., just like this event, Thursday, August 21st. So please plan to attend. Jeff, surprisingly enough, I don't have any questions coming across, so if anybody has a question, please feel free to send them. But right now, we're wide open.
I've got a few on Twitter that people have hit me with. So some people, I just couldn't answer them as we were going because I couldn't focus on the Twitter stream. I have one or two. I have one person that says, what's the thought process behind calling them back too quickly? I have a feeling or an opinion that it actually scares the heck out of them. It's kind of a unique thought process if you think about it. Now, I imagine when we say too quickly, I've seen the writers along the signs that we all have for text capture and stuff like that. I think it would scare the heck out of somebody if they literally texted in for information and 3 seconds later you dial them right back and they're still sitting in front of the house. They might feel a little creepy that way. Is this guy staring at me through a camera because they're still there? I've heard that being a little bit creepy. But in general, I guess it's a matter of when you call them back, what you say, versus, hey, I just saw you called. Maybe you wait a minute or two or three. I don't think that's going to be a problem if you feel that that's scary. But at the same time, I think the biggest challenge we have is people actually saying they don't get a response. So actually, there are more questions coming in now. What about leads? All right. What about leads that have bogus phone numbers, but email seems real? Think about how when you register for webinars or something like that, do you put in everything for real? Well, sometimes you have to have a live, email address, but that's fine. So they're going to give you a bogus phone number. So what? Nothing's going to be perfect anyway. So you have an email. What are you going to do with it? Well, you can email them with also some impromptu questions. Like, don't just send them the information. Maybe you try some of that scripting. Like, hey, I saw you, you called in on one of these properties or you inquired about it. I have some great information, actually some new information. If you'd like, I'd love to have a chat with you. Give me a call. See if you can trigger a phone call out of it. Because if you trigger that questionable, hey, I have some important information about that property you called on, and you send it by email, they're probably saying, okay, well, why didn't you just send it to me by email? Well, it's a little bit lengthy. I'd have to type a whole paragraph to explain it. I'd love to chat with you. Here's my number. Give me a call this afternoon. I'll be happy to talk to you about it. Try and engage that by leaving them with information that they may want. So, just some getting used to saying fluently. This one gets asked often. How late at night do you recommend calling back? I get leads at like 11 o'clock or midnight. We do. 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I guess it depends on your preference, and that could get creepy too. But listen, if they're up at 11 o'clock clicking and looking, and they actually are inquiring about something, they probably still want information about it pretty soon. So if you happen to be that person that's up at that hour doing it, I probably would not pick up the phone and talk to them because there are other household things. Would I send them a quick text message back and responsive? Because I'll tell you what, if you sent me a text saying, hey, just saw you replied, not sure if it's too late to chat, obviously it's 11 o'clock, but I will call you in the morning. What's the best time I can catch you first thing? That would impress the heck out of me, first of all. And they'll probably say, wow, fantastic. Call me on the way to work, 8 o'clock. Got it. I probably wouldn't ring the phone and wake up the kids, or God knows what their family situation is like, but I would respond somehow via text or in a non-verbal way. I think it would be super impressive that you got that kind of response. Just my opinion, of course. Hopefully
that was a question up here at the top. It says, when is enough in marketing dollars when you're starting out? There are so many options to take your money and you could go broke before you even get started.
True. You can go broke before you get started. But all things aside, I am a big advocate of spending money to make money. This is also a business. I understand you're new. The main thing you got to focus on when you're new is finding people to talk to. Yes, you still need leads, but there's a way to nurture leads through so many networking, face-to-face. I mean, if I can make real estate so simple, I have this one presentation called the high cost of being a secret agent. And it literally will show, I have a visual of a new agent standing in line at the coffee shop with 40 people in line around him at this, and he's got his arms crossed, folded, like he's got a lot of things to do and he's being bothered by standing in line. And yet probably, and 99.9% of the people standing around him live in, own, and rent a home. And he's talking to nobody because he's in a hurry to get somewhere to go do no work. Yet the business is standing right around him. All of it. You actually have to find a way to talk to people. So there's another whole segment I won't go into, but you don't have to spend a lot, but you do need to invest in marketing dollars. You're competing with a lot of top-end producers. You're competing with a lot of website competition, and you've got to stand out from the crowd. So you've got to put your money in the right direction. And you might be saying, well, I don't know what that is. Hire a good coach, hire somebody that knows what they're doing. Let them give you that guidance that's been in those shoes before. But there's a lot of ways for very little to no money to go work this business. We make it too complicated. Everyone you see, no matter where you are, 99% of them live in, own, and rent the home and know 300 other people that do the same. Go talk to them. Find a way to chat with them. Ask them if you could be of service to them. When's the next time they plan on moving? Who do they know that might be looking to move? It's that kind of stuff you can't be afraid of. Okay, so I understand your point. What else we got?
Okay, Jeff, the next question. We have someone that uses market leaders, and they get a client that comes in and registers.
Yep.
They search around, they set up some alerts, and obviously we can see their email address and so forth, and then they unsubscribe at the 1 or 2 days later. Should they still reach out to them?
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not? They haven't told you to stop. They just simply unsubscribed because they were getting dripped on. You have to understand, drip systems are good to stay in front of people, but try and use the visual. If you were in your shower and had a dripping faucet on you, what is it? It's annoying. You either want it all on or off. Dripped on is sometimes annoying to people. I still have real estate agents that we bought and sold from 5 years ago, still dripping me with, here's my recipe of the month. Here's this, new plant you could put in your garden, of which none of it means anything to me. It annoys the crap out of me, to be honest, to be perfectly frank. Why do I not disengage from them? I happen to know and I use it as content to see what's going to come next that's really going to make me nuts. But that's not doing business. Where's the human part of that? So when they've left, there's a reason they left. They didn't like just getting stuff. Call and try and email and have a conversation with them that's, something that's going to get them engaged about what they're really trying to accomplish. Hey, I saw you unsubscribed. I'm sorry we sent you just listing after listing. But at the same time, I would love to spend a few minutes with you to really find exactly what you're looking for. If there's something that's specific you're looking for your family or for yourself, try and get into a human conversation with that person until they tell you, listen, stop calling me. Take me off your list. Be done. Then what do you do with it? Then you refer it to somebody else and let them try. So, look, they were obviously there for a reason. But obviously, sometimes they just get annoyed by being dripped on. So, yeah, try and get human with them for a little bit and talk to them.
Absolutely. What have you got to lose, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's all the questions. I want to thank everyone for attending today, and Jeff, especially thank you. Great presentation, another great presentation. Jeff will be back to AEM Achieve. We've got a number of events lined up. We will be sending you a short survey after this session. We ask for your feedback because we want to know how we can provide more relevant information for you. So please let us know your thoughts on this presentation as well as what you'd like to see in future presentations. With that, again, thank you for attending AEM Achieve. Have a great day.
Thanks, guys.